Hey y'all, welcome to Book with Keba, the podcast where we talk about books, reading culture, and all opinions that come with the emotionally attached to fictional characters. I'm your host Keba. Whether you're reading on a Kindle, listening to an audiobook, or trying to get out of a reading slump, I am glad you're here. So grab your favorite drink and let's get booked. Okay, today's episode is going to be a little bit different because I'm about to take you down a rabbit hole. And if you have never read a Jahquel J before, you might want to grab a notebook I because when I tell you this woman creates a whole universe. I mean a whole universe. I'm talking about family, romance, crime, action, FBI agents, biker gangs, complicated relationship characters who keep on popping up in different books, and somehow everything connects seamlessly. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. We're going to be breaking down the Delgato series along the Delgato Inferno Caselli series universe. I'm not going to sit here and give you a full blown encyclopedia of every single character because we're going to be here all day. Instead, I'm going to give you a little snapshot of all the stories that you are going to love and what annoys me, and hopefully give you a better idea whether this universe is what you want to jump into. So now we start out this series with the Delgado series, and the Delgado series is divided into three seasons. Each season follow one of the three siblings, Capone, Capadano, and Capri. The first book in the series is Capone. The second book is his twin brother Capadano, and his third season three is following Capri, which is their little sister. This is where I recommend you start. You start with Capone, then Capadano, then Capri, and then you can go off into the Caselli series, which is 10,000 Hours with a rich menace. Then you can go into Quasim, and probably you can go into Don Caselli and then Goon, because Goon is the last book in the series so far. We're about to get Goon 2 soon, but we're waiting diligently. But until then, we can start talking about these books that we already have. So we did season one, where it follows Capone and Aaron. Capone's story introduces us to Aaron, but there's a little bit of complication because Aaron used to be dating Naeem, now eventually connected to Capone's family, the Delgado series, where he is the brother-in-law to Capone. So immediately there is this whole should I really go there kind of moment. But Capone couldn't help himself, and once he approaches Erin, he realized she's not all what he expected. She is doing her own, driving the bus, living her life, and Capone start realizing there's more to this woman than meets the eye. No, Capone has a baby mother, Ella, and this is where I say Capone was playing in this girl's face, and that girl was also delusional. Because this man is a very intentional man about wanting what he wants, and wanted another child, and he has never made any move towards that. Why do you think it's going to happen, sweetie? Anyways, he already had a child. He made his position very clear, but yet Ella's still upset because she wants another baby. And no, there is Erin in the story. If a man tells he doesn't want another child with you, believe him, because he doesn't have to say it in 10 million words. That's just my opinion. And then Erin enters the picture. What I love about Erin is she was like laying down the law, like, I'm not for that baby mama drama handling thing. She stood on business there. And basically, I'm too grown for this. I love that. And Capone story isn't just about romance. He has sickle cell, and that's something that the book continued to address throughout his story and in the other series, parts of the series. I appreciate that because it gives us characters who are dealing with something real while still navigating love, family, fatherhood, and everything else happening around them. It's something I really love about the Delgado series. They're not just a romance. We're getting the action, we're getting the shoots, a highway shoots out, we're getting the drama, we're getting the relationship, but we're also getting piece of real life issues that woven into this story. And Capone and Aaron love relationship, come on. That's really the catalyst because once we start the story, the dominoes starts to falling. And let me tell you this, each book end on a cliffhanger. I love the fact that when we were talking about Erin and Capone's story, everybody was like saying he's controlling and everything like that because he was like, yo, you have to move a particular way. But if you're living in this life, you have to live a particular way. And I think he's like doing it because he wants to be very protective. And with Erin was like so stubborn at one point in time. And I love their relationship as for how she and Capri got to being friends. And you're going to see how their friendship develops over a period of time. That girl stood up for Capri, regardless of what going on. I love it. Then we move on to season 2, which is Capadana. Capadana is Capone's twin brother. And let me tell you something. They say Capadana is the crazier one. And I believe them because in Capone book 1, Capone is doing some crazy things. We're talking about dropping bodies like flies, dropping people body in front of their parents, their kids' yard, front. I mean, like parents are dying, a bunch of stuff. Believe them. Capadonna has been in prison for an amount of time while he's there, he's praying for a wife. And when he meets this girl in prison upon one of their visitations. And when he gets out, he sees the same woman that he remember from prison, Alea, and she was pregnant. And this man basically decide, yeah, that's my wife. Now, there's just one tiny problem. Before prison, Capadonna had a girlfriend, and he thought she was waiting for him, but she was not. Baby girl had her life going on, and she's living the best life while picking money up. She had a whole new relationship and was engaged. That girl was crazy. Let's just say the man was not handling it well, but Alea's story gets much deeper. She was from a Muslim family, and her relationship or religion is complicated because of the religion was used as a way to control and abuse her. And I really appreciate the contrast because Capadonna is also Muslim. So we're seeing two people who share the faith, but in a very different experience with the faith. Alea is dealing with pregnancy loss and people trying to control what happens to her. And Capadonna is not having it, like legit not having it. He's dealing with his girlfriend from the past, and he's finding out things as they go. They have a son. He did not know he had a son. He has a child on the way. Come on, that's just Capadonna on a regular day. And Capadonna, he steps in for Alea on so many times. While he isn't the biological father for the baby, that's his daughter. Right true. It's who shows up, who protects you, who loves you, who say, this is my child, I mean it. And then again, the books gives you more than romance. We're talking about prison, we're talking about religion, we're talking about abuse, about pregnancy and the family, and we're getting it all wrapped up inside this urban romance. Capadonna is a man of many talents. He's a former pilot, he's a former barber, he's a dance instructor, he was a guidance counselor, and so many other careers that he has touched on, and also a wedding coordinator. So please bear in mind when you actually touch into Capadonna's book and in the other books that you definitely hear about his many other career choices that he has made in the past. Now we move on to season 3, which is my favorite book out of the Delgado series, Capri. Capri book, I love it. Because Capri's story is more than just finding a man. It's about her finding herself. Capri is dealing with so much pressure from her mom. That pressure is to be perfect, to be successful. It's everything that a mother expects her to be. And there's moments when I feel like her mother isn't even celebrating her success. The mom didn't. It's not a feeling. We saw it. It's almost like she is competing with her. And I think so many Black women can relate to this dynamic. The feeling of, I'm doing everything I'm supposed to do. Why isn't this feeling like I'm not enough there? And Capri was dealing with that. And what I love is that she start learning how to love herself. And let's say she knew Quimeer from college, but the Quimeer that we know now, baby, I love him. He is funny, understanding. He stands on business. He's 10 toes down behind Capri. He understands her. He doesn't try to make her small. He doesn't tell her that she's too much. He waits for her. He gives her this space. And when it's time to stand over her, he's standing. Remember, this man actually went up on a countertop and kicked somebody down for Capri because this man decided to act a fool and talk to her crazy. That's my kind of man in a romance. And Quimeer also is an Inferno God priest. So let's say, which is where Delgato universe starts to really open up into the Inferno God universe. But there's also something that about the Capri story that really bothers me. Her family, her brother, not even the dad, because he's in a rock and a hard place, trying to please wife, trying to please the daughter, and I I think it took too long for everybody to realize that mom was going too hard because there were moments I was sitting there thinking, y'all really going to let your sister go through all of this. Capone is basically saying he's not getting involved. That's woman business. Your sister and your baby mother and another girl was the pink hair girl, Tasha, was actually really good friends and they're close friends. But nobody think about it when they just drop Capri, but two were still friends. And you're going to be talking about, I'm not getting into women's business. That's when you're supposed to get into the business. Not even if you're getting in deep, but you just need to know the basis of what went down. Did this girl actually use my sister to get to me? Simple as that. That's what the first thing I would have thought. And they let the mom talk to this girl crazy over the years without even like, that don't sound good, mommy. It took way too long for them to realize something was actually wrong. And also, the part that made Capri's story interesting is because eventually family has to recognize that protecting somebody doesn't mean that waiting until they're completely broken before they steps in. And I love when the dad actually sit down and they had this heart to heart with the mom and she's like, oh, I'm becoming my own mom. At the same time, you're creating another cycle of trauma without even thinking about it. And I look at it, Caffrey's story was such an interesting story because we met other key players that we're going to see further on. We met the other brother, which will be seen in the Castelli series more because he's best friend with the Minis. Yes, now we move to season 4, where it opens up to the Inferno God series. And because Capri is married to Quimeer, Quimeer is no, and we all know Inferno God. And yet we getting more Inferno God. She is Mrs. Fern. Come on, you. I love how when we actually go into season 4, we're getting uh, more into the bigger picture of what is going on here. They want Capone and Capadano because they are, big dogs. But at the same time, there are a lot of key players and a lot of things that are happening. And season 4, even though I did not like Quasim one bit, and there was so much to the story that made sense, Kazim had previously lost the woman he loved and the daughter died battling cancer, and that loss completely destroyed him. So when Blair comes into his life, she's dealing with her own history because she's a cancer survivor who she's gone into remission. The two of them slowly developing feelings for each other because we're seeing this from book 1 in book 2, that is season 2. And then we keep on seeing him trickling into season 3. But he's constantly pulling away from her. He's not worthy of love. I lost personal love in this particular way. I can't go through that again. But Blair is basically waiting around for this man to figure out himself. And I'm sitting down there like, girl, leave this man or don't even start nothing with him. And every time she starts something like she was dating, he's going to kill the man. So he's not getting his stuff together, but at the same time, he wants her for himself. Sir, come on. You can't tell somebody that you don't want them and get mad when they move on. But eventually, Blair gets really tired when they actually got together and said, you know what? Get your stuff together. I'm just leaving. I'm taking the kids and the cat with me. you're by yourself. And I actually appreciate that because sometimes the characters has to realize you can't keep pushing someone away and expect them to wait forever. And this is where the book really gets interesting because underneath all that romance, there's another story happening. Women being abducted, the investigation involving egg harvesting. There's a little boy named Elijah becomes connected to what is happening, and then we're meeting characters, other characters that are playing into this that we're seeing from before, and we're seeing what happened really took place with his first girlfriend. And you're getting backstory of him struggling with what the debts back then, and we're learning about Elijah's story. It is such a heart-wrenching one. Even Quasim had to break down and start crying. While we're reading these romans, there's the story that's unfolding slowly but surely, and who's going to fall in love, and if we're going to get what is actually happening. Because Quasim took us through it, and I would definitely tell you to, before you actually start reading Quasim's story, read 10,000 Hours with a Rich Menace, and then you read Quasim because definitely you're going to see other people popping up into these situations that you're going to see that you really don't know. 10,000 with a Rich Menace is talking about Menace Caselli. And I love the fact that Stevie and her friend was there, and Stevie didn't really want much out of life, but she was living a little life that she thought was good, and her friend was doing some stuff, and they took her in because they were stealing from Menace. And Menace was like, I don't even know what's going on with you. They end up getting married. He is dealing with so many things. Menace is on the spectrum, just say that. But definitely, we get the backstory of the Caselli family, the foundation of it, and you will see why he behaves the way he behaves in the other books because we read the 10,000 also with the Rich Menace. Then we go to the Heart of Goon, which is with Gerald and Zoya. Zoya is friends with Capri, they're best friends, and also Zoya is a Caselli. So, as I said, we're getting a little crossover moment with the Inferno God and Caselli there. I don't know. We're seeing the connection because Gerald is also an Inferno God and art stealer. And we're getting in with Are You Going to Have My Chocolate Babies? Let me tell you, that's all I can think about when you're looking at it. But Heart of Goon isn't finished as yet. We only have one book from it so far, and we're getting the basis of Gerald and Zoya's story. How, sometimes it's so hard to love somebody that has a past that wasn't grown with love, and they're strong, independent women and want to be loved but don't know how to be loved, and you are expecting certain things, and there's so many stuff that she was battling with. And when you actually saw her like in the other books, you can see why she moves the way that she moves particularly. And I love that. So we're getting the basis of that, and we're getting deeper into the Caselli family, because even though it's not in the Caselli series, it's in the Inferno God series. We're getting a little bit more of the Caselli family. And also Don Caselli book. Hey, I love that we're setting the foundation of what we really is going on. And we meet like key players that we always seeing popping up. And we're learning more about Minis Caselli, but also everybody, the foundation that we need to set for this story. Are the other stories. Getting the backstory is always a fun time for me and learning about them. But also in Don's story, we saw where Don was the youngest of all. He did not really know his parents that much. And the kind of love that he thought that he wanted to give to a particular person, she was not ready to be loved in that particular way. And never will, because she is so messed up inside. He was willing to do part way with his family just to be with her. But she was never going to love him the way that he needed to. But when we meet our girl, Navy, She is family oriented, and she's from this big Caribbean family. And one thing I know about Caribbean folks like myself, we are always inviting somebody into that fold and just giving them love regardless of who they are and their status. Navy doesn't want kids, and Don doesn't care. He is never, if the girl wants not to have kids, he is with that. And I love we're getting different sides of the story. Not everybody is popping out three kids also and just wanting the host and the 2.5 kids and stuff like that. No, she wants to be loved and she is not going to have kids. She loves her dog. Come on. That's a part of it. And you see how Don just immerse himself into the love that Navy is giving and also just giving back Navy that love that she wants and that support, you know? I know we probably get Buster story with the Caselli or a spin-off from his story. I'm going to look forward to actually getting his story. And also, I think we're getting story with the parents, which is Papa Inferno and Mama Inferno. We're supposed to be getting story with Jean and Daddy Delgato. Also, I don't know. It's the question is here, why are you not reading this? Because Jahquel J created this universe where the individual romance can stand on their own. And you definitely, there's other books in the series other than the Delgato, Inferno, and the Caselli story. We have the books like Satin Island, Love Story, Love Letters. You have those ones where you meet like Carter and Star, where you always see them in the book. And their books tell you like what they are about and how they're connected to everybody on the Delgado side and the Inferno. But let me tell you, they're all pieces of something much bigger. You can read Capone because you want to read Capone and Aaron's story. You can read Capadano because you want to read the story with him and Elia. You can read Capri's story because definitely, who wouldn't want to read about Meerkat and Capri? Then you're going to notice this. Wait, wasn't that person in another book? Why is that family connected to this family? What is happening with the Inferno Gods? What is going on with 40? Because definitely that's a question that we're having from the last book that we read. Who is behind all of this? And that's what keeps me coming back. Other than the cliffhangers, the story is so immersive right across the entire universes that she has created. If I had to pick my favorite, I'd definitely say Capri is my number one for me. I love her journey. I love watching her find herself. I love Quimeer absolutely down bad and how he's funny, protective, he's understanding when it comes to Capri. This man was standing on business. My favorite scene was when she was in the kitchen making that juice and he walks in and immediately knows something is wrong with Capri and just like take her aside and like wondering what is going on. The mother was upset with her because she left Naeem, but she should have stayed with Naeem, I guess, and get cheated on and mistreated because evidently I have no clue why that mother would want her to stay. And when she explained that, it's so dumb to me. I really enjoy London's story also. And I appreciate Capone's story because without Capone and Aaron, we wouldn't have the catalyst for everything that follows. Quasim, not so much. Not my favorite, but also I appreciate his role he plays in the bigger picture. Another thing is that it's important when we're reading this internet connected story. Not every book is going to be your favorite. And that's something everybody must know by now. And that's okay. Sometimes you read the book because you love the character. Sometimes you read the story because you need the information. And that's what Quasim book was for me. And sometimes you're reading because you know this book is going to matter later. You need the Easter eggs. You need to have these small tidbits of stuff that happens in each book to when you finally finish read the entire series. Should you read the Delgato Inferno Caselli universe? Would I recommend it? Absolutely, yes. Especially if you enjoy urban romance with family dynamics, very strong family dynamics, action, crime, drama, interconnected characters, strong female leads, complicated relationship and romance that connected to a much bigger story. If you're someone who loves discovering little connection between books, you're going to have a good time. My advice, start with Capone. Then from there, you can start branching out when we work into the Castle stories and all of that. And honestly, that's what I'm waiting for because Jahquel J, you have given me all these love stories. You have given me all these families, these characters. Let me tell you, I can't stop loving these highway shootouts and the drama. You have given me people popping up everywhere. Like, we know who pops up everywhere. Once you see that light turn off, you know what time it is. I need answers. Just that's the end of the story. We just need answers because clearly something is bigger is happening and you need to know where is this is all going. Please bear in mind that Jahquel J book is traditionally published now because she was a self-published author and we can get Capone in a different cover from the previous covers that we started out with. And let me tell you, the covers are amazing for traditional covers. Every time when I look, when we're transitioning from self-publishing to traditional, we get some ugly ass cover. But this time, Jahquel J, hands down, I love the traditional cover. If I was a physical book girly, I definitely would be getting that. Back to my final thoughts. So if you're looking for urban romance universe that you can really sink your teeth into, try Jahquel J. You might come up for the romance, but you will stay for the drama that occurs. But eventually, you're going to realize you're invested in the entire universe. And that's when you are in trouble because you know you're waiting on for every book to drop. And I'm so glad you guys are not on that side where I was waiting on Quasim books like to drop book one, season 1, 2 to 3 was already published and out. So I would be waiting on Quasim to drop on Heart of Goon in London. And you guys don't have to wait that much. But we're still waiting for Heart of Goon Part 2 to be out. But thank you so much for hanging out with me today. If you have read any of these books, I want to know who's your favorite Delgato and which story is your favorite. And most importantly, are you invested in figuring out what is happening in this universe? What's the bigger picture? Let me know. If you haven't read them as yet, well, you know where to start. And until next time, happy reading and stay booked.